2 years ago, I did the initial walk around on Dad's Jeep in this very spot. Now, I've done a lot of work to Dad's Jeep in those 2 years. I finished some project that he was working on. I did some things that I wanted to do to it, and I'm getting ready to take Dad's Jeep on a multi-state adventure in a few weeks, and I've done a lot of work trying to get it ready for that trip. I thought it'd be a good opportunity to revisit Dad's Jeep, show you some things that I've done to it, and a few things that I just didn't get to before this trip that may come back to bite me. But let's take a second look at Dad's Jeep. You know, if you want to know the specifics of Dad's Jeep, I kind of go over that in the initial walk around video. But basically, Dad's Jeep is a base model 1998 TJ Sport Edition. It does not have cruise, does not have tilt steering, intermittent wipers, no air conditioner. It's just a base model Jeep. But it's a pretty solid Jeep for a 25-year-old Jeep. Right now, I think it has 126,000 miles on it. When Dad bought it, the main issue he had was drivability on the highway. It would just wander all over the road. It was really kind of scary to drive. And when he died, he was in the process of changing out the steering gearbox. It was leaking, and that's where he was going to start. So the first thing I did was put a remanufactured gearbox and drove it for a while I researched the problem. And what I found out was it was more than likely caster angle, not pinion angle, caster angle, which is the relationship of the C on the axle. And you can check it by putting an angle finder on the top ball joint. Find a flat surface on the C, and what I ended up with was 4 degrees, and I think 7 degrees is what it left the factory with, 7 degrees of caster. So I bought adjustable lower control arms, and I pushed the bottom of the axle forward a little bit until I ended up with 8 degrees, and that helped a ton. Then I went back, the tie rod ends, drag link ends were worn out, so I just replaced that whole assembly with a HD steering setup with new rod ends. Had a little bit of body roll that I think was also affecting the drivability of it, so I installed Blistine 5100 series shocks, and it drives a lot better now. It drives like a lifted Jeep now instead of a dump truck. So those are the few things I've done to help with the drivability of it. Now let's take a minute and let's look under the hood and look at the drivetrain. Now Dad's Jeep has the inline 6 4.0, which is a pretty bulletproof motor. It's not uncommon to see these engines with over 300,000 miles. Haven't done anything to the engine. It came with a cold air intake. The only thing I've done is I freshened it up, gave it a tune-up. New plugs, plug wires, distributor cap, rotor. You know, change the engine oil and filter. I did put a new radiator. In fact, I replaced the whole engine coolant system. New water pump, new thermostat, new fan clutch, radiator, hoses. I went ahead and changed the serpentine belt, the idler pulley, tensioner pulley. So the whole coolant system, the engine coolant system, is new. I even replaced the overflow bottle with a new one. So I think engine wise, I'm good. I've not had a single issue with this engine. And all the way through the drivetrain, the transmission, transfer case, front and rear differential, I've changed those fluids. I pulled the drive shafts and inspected the U-joints. They had grease. Everything looks good, so I put those back together, put those back in. I think my drivetrain is solid. So I'm happy. I'm happy with the drivetrain. I don't think I'll have any issues with the drivetrain. Now, as far as lighting goes, I have changed the headlights out. If you've got a Jeep, you know the headlights are not that great. So I've changed these out with LED headlights, and I've got a video on that. I love these lights. They cast a great pattern across the road and on the sides of the road. Dad had some 55 watt KC lights on the A-pillars, and they were a spread beam. So I've changed those out to 100 watt KC lights and a spot beam. A lot of times I'm looking for camp at night, and a little extra light really helps. So that's what I've done light wise. The only other thing I've done to the exterior as far as appearance goes, I removed all the decals that it had on it except for the Jeep logo decal on the side, and then I installed these Punisher decals on the hood. You know, Dad had a Punisher spare tire cover, and I decided to kind of stay with that Punisher theme on the Jeep, so I installed these Punisher decals on the hood. That's about it on drivetrain and exterior of the Jeep. I've done a ton of work to the inside of the Jeep, so let's look at the interior. Now, one of the first things you'll notice is I've removed the rubber floor liner. I hated that thing. I really like the warmth of carpet, and that rubber floor liner had a layer of insulation under it, and it was actually holding moisture between the floor liner and the floor of the Jeep, and it was just causing rust issues. So I removed the floor liner, I took the seats out, I cleaned up the floor, went over the rusty spots with POR 15 rust inhibiting paint, and then I just went over the whole floor with a white spray paint just to try to protect it and make it look a little bit better. You can see some of the floor shows under the carpet, like the kick panels on the front show, and then a few places under the seat show. This is a bed rug. I love it. It feels like carpet. It dries really well, which is what I was after. I wanted something that wasn't going to hold moisture on the floor of the Jeep. It's molded to fit the contours of the Jeep. Install was super easy. I just really like the bed rug. And you'll notice I got new seats. Let's go in the front and we'll look at the seats. For the seats, I went with the Corbeau Moab seat. I've got a review video on this same style seat. We put these in the our silver Jeep Rubicon. I love these seats. In my opinion, these are the best replacement option for an early model Jeep Wrangler. They just look good and they are super comfortable. I did opt to get the heated seats, and those are really nice on a cold morning, or when you get fatigued, you've been driving for a while, it's nice to put those seat heaters on. Went with a Punisher theme again on the instrument cluster, and I've got a Punisher gear shifter knob. Now I added 67 design phone mount and a tablet mount, just really solid, and it looks nice. And I upgraded to a double DIN head unit, and this allows me to run Apple CarPlay, so I get turn-by-turn directions from Google. Gaia Maps also runs on Apple CarPlay, as well as Trails Off-Road, so I'll be able to use that on my trip and on our trips around here. Interior of the Jeep looks awesome. I think it's really comfortable. Now, it's still an old Jeep, and you can see the paint's kind of peeling off. Somebody's painted the dash before. It's not a pristine Jeep, but it's not bad. And I think that's really going to make a difference on long trips like the one I'm going on, just being comfortable. Now, let's take a look at one more thing on the back of the Jeep. I've also added the Trailgator tailgate table from Outback Adventures. Man, this thing is it's a real quality table, and I use it a lot. On almost every trip we go on, I use this table. A lot of the trips I go on, I don't even take another table because I do all my food prep on this table. So I think this is going to really come in handy. It's a little pricey, but the quality's there. I think it's worth the money. Now let's take it a few things that I wanted to do before this trip, but I just ran out of time. The first thing is, you'll notice there's no winch on the front of the Jeep. I'd planned on taking the winch off our silver Rubicon and upgrading that to one with synthetic rope and putting that worn M8000 winch on this Jeep, but I just ran out of time. I'm planning on doing some Jeep trails on this trip. This could come back to bite me, but we'll see. Another thing on the front of the Jeep, when I took it for an alignment, it still had just a little bit of wander in the front, a little bit of slack. They said my track bar is a little bit worn and I should probably replace it. I did order a track bar with the intention of replacing it before this trip, but I ordered the wrong one. So that's something that's not going to get done before this trip. It's on the list to do, but it's not going to get done before I leave. Only other thing that I've got that I wish I had time to work on, I'm running the original spare tire. Now, I did clean up the wheel a little bit. It was painted white and rusty, but that's a 28-inch road tire for a spare. I'm running 33-inch mud tires. So I'm banking on, if I get a flat, this tire is going to be enough to get me where I can get my full-size tire repaired. Hopefully I won't need it. I've got a spare. It's just not as desirable as I would like. I would like a full-size spare, and that's on the list too. In the future, I'll put a full-size spare. In fact, I'm probably going to be in the market for new tires this fall, and I'll probably just get 5 new tires and run a full-size spare. I want to thank my stepmother one more time for giving me Dad's old Project Jeep. It really means a lot that she would do that for me, and it really has been therapeutic to think about the lessons that Dad taught me while I was working on it. You know, the value of keeping a vehicle clean and maintained so you get the maximum amount of mileage you can out of it, and so it never lets you down when you need it. If you're a subscriber, I want to thank you for subscribing to the channel. As this video airs, I'm getting ready to leave on my trip, packing, getting ready to go, and I'm going to try my best to give daily updates on where I'm going and what I'm doing. I'm not giving away the destination just yet. You'll have to stay tuned for that. If you're not a subscriber and you enjoy this content, I encourage you to subscribe so you'll get those updates too. Well, the sun's starting to set. I think it's time to wrap this video up. Thanks for watching.